All right, what is going on, guys? Today we are going over Premiere Pro color grading, I believe. So in the last video, we went over importing, as well as, or in the previous two videos. So the first video we went over importing, export, or importing sound clips, and then just basic like timeline as well as Premiere Pro settings. The last video we went over the transform tab and all these different effect controls here, where you can sort of change your video. So now the fun part, color grading. Now there is okay. So there's a few things that just makes this very difficult to do. Um, Now don't get me wrong, it's not that hard to make your own LUT, but what it is hard is to actually save your own LUT. Now, that's just unfortunately how it is. But if we're going to start off, we're going to have to start off with I'm going to show you guys how to use any LUT without creating it first, and then we'll go into making your own LUT. So obviously, first what we're doing, just like the DaVinci Resolve and just like the CapCut, I want to do basic adjustments. So before we even start here, what I want to do is I want to go to my Lumetri scopes and I want to make sure I have the vector scope and the waveform RGB. Now, I'll go over this again, but the 100 line, this represents whites, the 0 line represents blacks. Ideally, we want nothing touching the 0 line, and like if we have a little bit touching the 100 line, like it'll show like your lights if you have a light source in there, like it'll usually end up being there. So yeah, that's that's that. Now, um, excuse me. So if we have that, so we're gonna look at basic adjustments, and then obviously we have our vector scope here. This white line will represent our skin tones, and we'll use that later in order to do that much. But anyways, we go to our Lumetri scopes, and you want to do the drop down that says basic corrections. So here, what are we doing when we're doing here? So first, we need to do white balance. We're going to need to do a saturation, contrast, highlight, shadows, blacks, whites, and then yeah, that will basically determine whether or not we have a good like base video. So I like to call these like the basic adjustments first. So you're looking at this. What do you want to do? White balance. So there's two ways to do white balance. You can go ahead and click this dropper tool and then just drag it on and then just click a white part of the video. Or you can kind of look at this and you'll see like if there's too much blue, the blue will be higher than the rest. And then if there's too much red or if there's too much red, it'll be higher than the rest. So a good way to look is just see like are these lined up as best as possible. Usually the auto white balance does a pretty good job, so we don't really need to worry too much. From here, we have a good spread, but I kind of want a little bit more spread out as well as I want a little bit more contrast between um, the colors. And this is also iPhone footage, so I'm going to show you iPhone footage, and I'm going to show you like log slash Sony or iPhone like 16 Apple log footage as well. So yeah, so we're going to add a little bit more contrast. And then from here, I like a darker video, so I'm going to decrease the shadow significantly. And then highlights as well, I'm going to move down because that'll give it a little bit more like color and like detail. From here, saturation looks good, so I'm not really worried too much, but we do have some stuff touching the 0 line, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to increase the blacks by 1, therefore we don't get any like detail missing there. This is a good base video. I could go ahead and, make more contrast, but I think that's going to look a little bit weird. So, yeah, just slight contrast. So that's iPhone footage. Now, if we go into log footage, so this is log footage. What we're going to have to do first is input our conversion LUT if you didn't already film with it. So if you didn't film on the Blackmagic camera app with the Apple log to Rec 709 conversion LUT, you're going to have to use that in here, and that's where you're going to use it in this basic correction. So import LUT. For me, since this is Sony log, I'm going to have my Sony log to Rec 709, and I have this LUT right here. If you can't find it in this dropdown, you can always browse and then look on your computer and find what you need to find. Pretty simple. Again, what are we looking at here? So we converted it to regular footage. Now I'm looking for white balance. So white balance is going to be click a white part, and I notice it's a little bit more blue than it needs to be, so we're going to decrease the blue slightly, increase the reds, and again, this looks like a better white balance to me. So there we are. Now, what are we looking at? This is still a little bit condensed for me, so I'm going to go ahead and spread it out with some contrast. And then shadows, I'm going to decrease. And we have nothing touching the zero line, which is good. So, oh my God, you guys can't even see. My bad. I'm sorry, guys. Gotta move myself down. No, not this shit again. Bruh, not this again where it's fucking doing this shit. Okay, hold up. Hold on, chat. Where should I put myself? We'll put myself at the bottom right corner. Make myself even smaller. Sorry, I had to fix it real quick. There we go. We'll lock that, John. All right, now you guys can see. So I'll go ahead and go over this again. So this is our histogram, this is our vector scope, the 0 line represents black, our 100 line represents white. Ideally, you don't want anything touching the 0 line. So that's that. But yeah, this is a little bit spread out. We could increase the highlights a little bit on this, but it's not that big of a deal. Um, that honestly looks pretty good to me. So yeah, and then we have this. If you want to use any other like color LUTs or like the LUTs that I give you guys, that I'll, oh my God, I haven't been putting the free LUT. Okay, so that reminds me to go ahead into the description and fix that into all my videos to give you guys the blue cinematic LUT. Anyways, I'll fix that. Man, I just remembered that. Anyways, so you can either use LUTs that you like import to the software, so they already have like stuff here already. I've imported my LUTs into this software already, so like I don't have to go ahead and browse my files. So if I wanted to use the blue LUT, I'll go ahead and just click my blue LUT, and then down here you can look at the intensity of it, and you can sharpen as needed. And then vibrance will make it a little bit more saturated color, or the color's a little bit brighter, and then saturation will make it more saturated. So yeah, I mean, kind of like it here. We'll add a little bit of sharpening onto this, and that's how you use a LUT. Pretty self-explanatory. And then, okay, we're getting a little bit of lag here, bro. Fix that. Should be good now. And then we'll go ahead and use the LUT on here as well. Boom. Looks good to me. All right, so now let us create our own LUT. So we're going to need, here we are. So we're going to need a video that has like a lot of skin tones in it. And what we're going to do is we're going to make 2 adjustment layers. So to make them, go to your project tab, right click, and then we're going to press new item and adjustment layer. Press OK. And we're going to have to make 2 of these. So we'll name this one basic, and then we'll make another one. This is going to be called LUT. So when you first try to make your own LUT, you have to do your basic adjustments first, and then from there, go ahead and, oh wait, actually it has to be, so your basic adjustments layer has to be below, and then your LUT has to be above. So we're going to do basic adjustments on this as if we were on the actual video itself, but make sure you have the adjustment layer um, selected. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to do our basic adjustments as we would usually do. So convert to S-Log or to Rec 709, white balance, we'll go ahead, we'll increase the contrast, highlights will probably go up a little bit, saturation goes down. It's pretty good. We don't have to do much after that. Then, this is the fun part. Go to your LUT adjustment file, and we're not going to do any basic adjustments yet. What we're going to do is we're going to go down to our HLS secondary, and here we're going to map out our skin tones. Now, again, with the mapping out skin tones, just like DaVinci Resolve, it's never going to be perfect. You'll never get perfect skin tones. But if you can try to get them as best as possible, chances are you're going to have a really good LUT. So press Set Color, go ahead and click Skin Tones, and we can see what is being mapped out. And you're just going to use the plus and minus dropper tool to add more. And while we're here, I'm going to show you guys, if you look, if we just have, so you're pressing color grade, so this will map out exactly what you have. Look at this line, this represents skin tones. We have perfect skin tones. And the reason why we map out our skin tones first before we actually go ahead and start, creating our color is because we want to maintain those perfect skin tones. So we'll go ahead. Now, as you see, it's never going to be perfect, but one of the tools you can use is denoise tool, and it'll help make it way better. And then I'll probably go ahead and I'll take this as well. So you just want to click all these white parts that like part of your video. This might screw up some stuff. Actually, no, it didn't. You guys want a close up of literally what I look like. This is what it looks like. And then we'll go ahead back here, press fit. Looking at our skin tones on this. Shouldn't press that. And this looks probably as best as we're going to get. So now we're just going to go ahead and blur the background of these things that aren't in here. Then from here, go back, we'll put the fit again. So we mapped our skin tones. All we're going to do is invert it. So you have all this that we have here. And as you see, yes, it's not going to be perfect. That is unfortunately, at least because of the camera that I use, it's an 8-bit, so it doesn't have that many colors. We can go ahead and we can try to fix that. But I don't have the most. So there's two things. You can sacrifice not as perfect skin tones or not as perfect color on your video. Me personally, I'm going to sacrifice a little bit of my skin tones so I can get a nice color. So we fixed all those little white dots that were showing up. And from here, looks pretty decent. So when we go ahead and we scroll down here and start to move the color, it will move everything but our skin tones, maintaining those perfect skin tones. So what color are we going to make? Let's go ahead and let's make a teal. So this first circle, this is going to be our global. And if you wanted to go ahead and get more specific, your shadows, midtones, and highlights, you can go ahead, you can go from here. Highlights as well, we're going to make it like that. And yeah, so we have that. Then you don't want to drag these down here because as you notice, my skin tones are going to be brighter than the rest of these than this video. So what you're going to want to do is after you've done this, we have like a nice color here, and I want it darker, so I'm going to scroll up to basic adjustments. Just going to decrease our shadows, decrease our highlights a little bit, and then we'll go into our, we can also go into here, decrease our shadows even more, but as you see, we're losing some detail. So I might want to move the midtones down instead. So this is the color that we made. Now, let's just see what it looks like. So the reason why we put it above is because we want to get the LUT without the basic adjustments in it, because every video is going to have its own basic adjustments. That's just how it is. So if we go ahead and we do that, we'll, as you see, skin tones nearly perfect, but we have a bit of stuff here and a little bit of blue here. That's just unfortunately what happens. Now, this is what the video looks like if we don't have our basic adjustments on, and that's perfectly fine. Why? Because we want to export this part as a LUT. We don't want to export like it looking like this. Why? Because this is going to go over our basic adjustments, therefore maintaining our perfect skin tones, whatnot. So that's that. And I am also looking at this. We might be able to get slightly better skin tones. We can, indeed we can. So yeah, spend a whole bunch of time trying to perfect these skin tones. It's very, very hard. I still struggle with it, but as you see, like, there we go. That looks even better. Turn that off. There we go. So that keeps our perfect skin tones. Now, to save this as a LUT, a LUT, you'll go ahead up to these 3 lines above by a lumetri color. You go ahead and you'll export .cube. So we'll name this Cinematic Bootcamp Teal. Holy shit. Teal. Save it. Now it's saved as a LUT. So if we go ahead and we'll go to these videos that we already used our Criekki Blue LUT on, we'll shut that off to none, and then we'll browse for our Bootcamp Teal. We go here, that's what it looks like. We'll turn this off, go to none, browse, change it to our Teal LUT. There we are. Perfect as that. So it gives us that teal color that we were doing, and now we don't ever have to, we don't need these, we can actually copy these basic adjustments down. We'll turn this off real quick, and we'll also turn this off. And then we'll go click the actual video. So you're going to go to your basic, right click, press copy. And you can go down to the actual video part, right click again, paste attributes, and all we're pasting is the lumetri color that we had for that. And yeah, and from there, we can delete these parts. Actually, I'm going to keep these up for later. But anyways, we'll go down here. Now we have all those basic adjustments that we had before. If we turn it off, that's what it looked like at the beginning. Go to our creative and browse Criekki Bootcamp Teal. And it gives us the exact same look that we had before. Pretty good, huh? Pretty cool. So that's that. Now I will say it is going to be slightly different than what you actually have on, it is going to be slightly different. The color is going to look slightly different than if you just use these. Now, that's just unfortunately what happens. But that is, for the most part, how all this works. And we can go ahead and we can drag this LUT all the way across too if we wanted to not use all this stuff. But yeah, that is how you create a LUT. Pretty easy, pretty simple. But like I said, when you save it as its own .cube file, it's going to look slightly different when you paste it in here. But we still maintain those perfect skin tones. If I go ahead here, just look at that. There we go. It's still within this line. So that's that. So I guess let's just go ahead and I'm gonna save this stuff right here for later because I can actually use this to make other LUTs that I want to make. But let me go ahead and let's just go and we want to remove all of this. Just go ahead and let's color grade the rest of this video so you guys can see it a little bit more. So we finished this. This one, iPhone footage, I can just look at it. It looks pretty normal. So what are we looking at? Color grading, basic adjustments, white balance first, a little bit more contrast, highlights down, shadows down. As you see, once we put those shadows down, we get a little bit more color. We have some stuff touching the 0 line, so I'll press 1 here. Immediately just makes it look better. And we might want to actually press white balance one more time. It looks like we have a little bit more green than we have blue, so I'm going to increase our blues slightly and decrease the amount of greens that we have. So this looks a little bit better. Perfect. Go down here, browse, teal LUT, increase or decrease the what do you call it? Intensity of that. I like it here. I'm going to add a little bit of sharpening and a little bit of sharpening to this as well. And yeah, looking at this is iPhone footage. Increase the contrast a little bit, decrease the highlights. As you see here, these lights, they're at the 100 line. That's fine. I'm totally fine with that. And I'll decrease the shadows significantly. We have a little bit of touching of the blacks, so we'll press 1. And looking at this, that looks like a little bit too much color, so I'm going to decrease the saturation slightly. And then from here, white balance, there we go. You can notice the difference between the colors and using iPhone footage, but for the most part, or the iPhone footage versus camera footage, yes, the camera can capture a lot more colors, so that's just what happens. But yeah, then we go ahead, creative, browse, use our teal LUT. This one, I want a little bit more shadows, so I'm going to decrease the shadows even more. Later on, we'll go over and after we color all of these, we'll make it look way better. We'll make each clip look very similar to each other. So yeah, this is all good. This one, log footage, go ahead and convert to log. Spread it out, shadows down. Go ahead and do our white balance. This looks a little bit red to me, so we're going to add a little bit more blue and a little bit more green. This looks good to me. We could increase the highlights slightly. And then from here, browse, teal LUT. Same thing here. Log footage, convert it. White balance looks a little bit green to me, so we'll increase the reds and the blues. Highlights up a little bit, shadows down. Looks good to me. Creative, teal LUT. And then from here, this is our original video. I'll go ahead and go through the steps again. So if you're having trouble with the LUT, make sure that the basics adjustment layer is below the LUT file, and then yeah, make sure to watch this over again and again. You'll get used to it. And then from here, S-log footage, increase our highlights slightly, decrease our shadows. White balance looks pretty decent. That just makes it that much better. And we'll browse here to LUT. Here we go. Log footage. Oops. Convert it. Contrast. Highlight should go up for this one. Shadows down. And this looks a little bit red. So we're going to increase our blues. Our blues and greens. That looks a little bit better. This one's tough. See, this one looks a little bit red. So this looks good to me. Creative. Go here. LUT. Log footage. Convert it. Contrast up. Highlights for this one, I'm going to go up. Shadows down. White balance. This looks a little bit red. So I fix that. Browse. LUT. This one, iPhone footage. What are we looking at? White balance. Contrast looks already good. We're just going to decrease the highlights, decrease the shadows significantly, and we'll even decrease the highlights even more. And then some stuff is touching the black, so press 1. Fix that. Looks good to me. Browse. LUT. And finally this one. This is the outside shot. This one is iPhone footage. White balance, believe it or not, this was supposed to be white. We'll go ahead, increase our contrast, decrease our shadows. It still looks like it needs some more of that. And then for this one, highlight should go up slightly, and then we have some stuff touching the black, so we'll press 1. Fixes that. This one's going to look slightly different than the rest because we have this orange background, but it'll actually look pretty cool once we put on this LUT. So yeah, that's what it looks like. And so now that we have all of this, let's go ahead and let's make some more adjustments. So adjustments, looking at this looks pretty good. I don't think we need to touch anything. If anything, we could add a little bit more shadows. So if you wanted to add basically another layer within the video, go to this drop down and press add lumetri color effect, and we can decrease the shadows even more. That looks good to me. Now this one looks a little bit more greenish, so we'll actually add a little bit more red, so it's not too green. This one looks like we need to add a little bit more color, so we'll go ahead and do that. And shadows look good on this one. This one also needs a little bit more color, but it looks like we need more shadows, so we'll go ahead, we'll add lumetri color effect, and then we'll decrease the shadows. So that looks good to me. Now looking at this, what colors kind of stand out? Nothing really. What colors stand out here? We have this green. And this looks a little bit too greenish teal. But we have this green that kind of just stands out and just doesn't look good. So a nice thing that I like to do is actually decrease some of these like colors that kind of stand out and make the video not look good. We also have this neon here. So we're going to go to our curves, hue versus saturation, and what you're going to do is you're going to click the dropper tool, click the green, and then from here this is like the range of where this color is. All you're going to do is just drag it to the side, and we have no color there. Now I don't want no color because that looks a little bit weird. So I might add just slight color in there. No. Yeah, I'll take that instead. What we could do instead actually is actually turn that off. So all you got to do is double click the line and it'll reset it. We can go to hue versus hue, press that. We can change this to sort of a blue. blue hue, so it's not that noticeable. So yeah, it's not as noticeable. So we're basically just changing the color of this, so it's not as like bright of a green. So yeah, that'll fix that. Looking at this, what color stands out? Red, but I kind of like the red being there, so I'm not going to touch it. These are actually greens, but the greens don't look like that, so this looks good to me. Shadows also look good, so we're not worried. This one looks good, but shadows could be slightly more, so we'll go to basic adjustments, and we'll decrease our shadows even more. This is like one of my favorite shots actually. This one, shadows down even more. We do have this red and green, but I'm not too worried because it's very small. Looking at this, we do have this green dot right here, so that's just from the camera lens. So what we can actually do is we can decrease the color of that simply by going like this. Oops. By going like that, and it should be able to just decrease it. But that just looks weird, so I don't know if we just, better if we just keep it. Yeah, we'll just keep it. This one needs a little bit more color. So does this one actually. These need a little bit more color. This one looks good. I'll add a little bit more color and slightly more shadows. This one, slightly more shadows and a little bit more intensity of the color. This one looks good. I'll add a little bit. No. Well, yeah. Shadows down a little bit, and I'll make this a little bit less green. And then from here, this one looks fine. So now this is the only clip that looks different. So now we basically have our video. Did I already add? Yeah, I added everything. So that is our video. So now I guess I'll get into exporting. Just so you guys know, this is a very simple thing. Yeah, that's color grading in its fullest extent. I'm trying to think if there's anything particular. If you wanted to add a vignette, you can do that here. If you move it to the left, I'll add like a black. If you move it to the right, I'll add a white. You can change the midpoint around this feather. Don't really use that. Color wheels are matched, so this is another way that you can kind of create your own color grade. However, you're not going to be able to maintain those perfect skin tones. So I like using the HSL secondary instead. Curves, these are just good for like certain color adjustments. You would go ahead and dropper tool like certain colors, and you can decrease the saturation. You can change the color of that and whatnot. RGB curves, I don't really use these at all. This is where you can kind of, a lot of people use like an S curve to create like contrast, saturation, whatever. I don't use that at all. I would just use the basic adjustments and use this contrast feature here. Yeah, and then creative, this is where you can add, you can use any of your LUTs, and then you can just make small adjustments here and there. And yeah, that goes over everything that I know about color grading. Yeah, and then like I said again, if you wanted to check your progress, how it's actually going from the beginning of your video to the beginning of your color grading process to the end, you would just press this FX button, and yeah, or you can go to your effects controls, and you'll see down here we have 1, 2 because we use two different lumetri color like layers, I guess you could say. You can go in here and press the FX again, and we can see this is what it looked like before. This is with the adjustments and our color grade, and then this is with even more adjustments. So yeah, you can go ahead and go there. And this one, same thing. We can go ahead and see the difference. And yeah, you can look at the effects controls, and you can like change these as well. But it's just going to give you numbers, so you can't like visually see all of this. So you get all the exact same stuff here. These tools right here, these are masks. So we'll go over masks in a whole nother video, but you can basically mask out every like video effect for the most part. is including your color grading, so you can like add like certain things that'll just make your video look that much better. We'll get into that a little bit later, but I'll have a whole video on masking because that's what I actually love about Premiere Pro, masking. But yeah, as you see, we did this. Looks good to me. Yeah, and then so after you color grade and add your video effect on this last video that's sort of extended later, you can go ahead and press C and you can cut and you can drag this part to the beginning and we'll watch our video. And there we go. So we went over all of that. So yeah, I guess we can just get into export settings. So I'll just record this part on top